going over the latest Detroit Lions rumors for you folks today, and in this video, we're going to be talking about should the Lions be signing a Bengals player. We're going to go through that player. One of the articles that went through believes that the Lions should. We're going to do an update on Alim McNeill. That's a good update. Interesting. We're going to talk about him. Tim Patrick, should the Lions look to re-sign him and make him a priority? Carlton Davis, what is the latest on him? And Hendon Hooker. But before we get into today's video, get to 84,800 subscribers. I think we're like 6 away right now. 6 subs away from that goal. I think with your help, it absolutely can happen. Now, with the first part of the rumors, we're going to go ahead and do an update on Alim McNeill. He spoke to the media. Let's get after it. Alim McNeill spoke and says, I had no clue what it was, but I knew it was something a little fishy about it. How it was feeling at the time. McNeill said in the injury he suffered in the loss to the Bills. As far as the season cut short, it definitely was tough, 100% tough. This is the first time I've ever had a season-ending injury, and the first time we've had surgery, and it was all new stuff to me. Now that we're done, I got to get back to the field as fast as I can, he said. I'm not going to rush or anything, but I'm going to push myself for sure. Now, when Alim McNeill spoke, it says in the article that Alim McNeill could be back around September/October range, and that is kind of where I fully expected him to be at because of the injury that occurred during the season. And we've seen that. So, look, the Lions, we're going to get McNeill back, but I'm going to say probably around week 8 of this NFL season. If you're thinking probably anything before then, understand that he's still got to do the rehab. He's still got to get into football shape after he's done with the rehab. Then he's got to get ready for the new scheme and everything. So I'm going to say McNeill will be ready around week 8, and we're going to get into an option behind that. But before we do, subscribe again. Let's get to 84,800 subscribers. We are really close to that goal, about 5 away. So what if McNeill can't get ready? Well, Christopher Knox has an option for the Detroit Lions. He says the prediction here is BJ Hill finds a new home with the Detroit Lions, Knox wrote. They battled numerous defensive injuries in 2024 and lost their star defensive tackle Alim McNeill to a torn ACL in Week 15. Adding Hill would provide insurance during his recovery, and the Lions could use an additional depth along their defensive front anyways. And you say, who is BJ Hill? Well, BJ Hill is a player that is from the Cincinnati Bengals, the interior defensive lineman here, 6'3", 311 pounds. He's 29 years old, drafted in 2018 in the 3rd round, pick 69. You look what he's done this past season. He's had 25 sole tackles, 3 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, and 0 interceptions. He's a player that he can help stop the run, but he's more of the lineman that's going to get after the quarterback and the mentor, so that makes sense that they would put him as the individual or the player that they would like to help relieve for Alim McNeill. Now, what would it look like for a contract? Well, this is his contract so far these last couple of years. $8.3 million, 10.8, 10.8. That's the salary. Now, it's not going to be a lot to get BJ Hill. It won't be that much to get him, and I think that if the Lions were to acquire his talent, it's not going to cost a lot to do so. And remember, we got DJ Reader, who's from the Bengals as well. So you're having not just one player familiar, but they're familiar with each other. And that's generally speaking, that's how these analysts go for it. They look for connections, and that makes a lot of sense. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time, the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets to sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, or whatever. Their lowest price is guaranteed. That's the Game Time guaranteed. Going to a game is much better than watching from the couch. The Pistons are hosting the Bills. And if you want to go to that game, our friends from Game Time has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. And what it does, it filters out all the fluff, get the best deals and seats. So you're not spending hours wasting time searching through thousands of tickets. And how do you find this? Well, when you go to the Game Time app, look to the venue you want to go to. It's going to be a 3D view. Select the Game Time Picks button on top of the screen and automatically does the research for you. And it filters out the tickets in the database, gives the best deals and seats, so you don't spend hours on a bunch of different ticketing sites trying to find the best tickets. You can get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, baseball, basketball, concerts, and more. And a mill screenshot, by the way, I think it's a fantastic feature of the app. It shows you where your seat is. And if you move phone left to right, you can see the surrounding area kind of like a 3D live photo. Also, all pricing is right there for you. There's no hidden fees at checkout. out. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. If you're new to Game Time, plug in Chat Sports, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. How do you do that? You go to the redeem code section, plug in Chat Sports, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms would apply. Got to create a guy named email to save that money. The link is going to be in the comment section and description of this video. So if you're buying Lions tickets this year, make sure you use Game Time. And download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets and lowest prices guaranteed. Now, Pride of Detroit did an article here, and I fully concur with their article. And it's talking about a player that the Detroit Lions should prioritize in free agency. It's our own free agent, and that's Mr. Tim Patrick. If you've seen what he did this past season, regular season, 16 games, 9 starts, 33 catches, 394 yards, 3 touchdowns, 641 snaps in the postseason, 1 game, 1 reception, 22 yards. 6'6" out of 110 wide receiver for offensive grade, receiving grade 69th, and run blocking grade 19th. This is really good for a number 3 wide receiver. Now, Tim Patrick, to me, is exactly the type of player that the Lions need to bring back in free agency. And I am a huge proponent of the Lions bringing him back because I think he is a major cog in this offense. Or if you don't remember, before he was really playing, Lions offense was struggling a little bit. And once you were able to get Tim Patrick, as your number 3 wide receiver, the offense was really starting to move. And the guy was catching everything. He, in my opinion, he was a better version of Josh Reynolds. Lions must bring Tim Patrick back. It is a must. He is a huge part of this offense, and I don't think it's going to cost much to get Patrick back. I don't think he'll probably go anywhere else. He wants to be in Detroit. He came here, obviously, when he was cut, and we tried to add players to the 53, and he's done a phenomenal job. Bring him back. Folks, subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 84,800 subscribers. With your help, it can happen. Let's go ahead and talk about Carlton Davis. Now, Jeremy Fowler thinks that Carlton Davis is going to get a lot of love. Davis' contract with Detroit is set to expire after the Super Bowl, and while the Lions will aim to keep Davis around, it's likely that they will have a competition for the rest of the market. In a recent article, Jeremy Fowler has mentioned that some teams have Davis as their number 2 corner in free agency class and have the Jacksonville Jaguars as a team to watch. Now, look, if he is number 2 at the corner position for free agency, Carlton Davis is probably not coming back to the Detroit Lions. That means that the price of him is going to go up. And now, if you know about me, I've been talking about Carlton Davis. Maybe we can get him back on a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal because of all the issues that we've had at the corner position. The problem here's the problem with Carlton Davis. He is talented. There's no doubt about it. If he was on the field, I think throughout the whole season, we're probably, we were potentially in the championship game. Like, it's a big deal to have him on the field. He's a really good player, very good in man-to-man coverage. He can find the ball and catch the ball, get the interception. He's a veteran. The problem is not his ability on the field. It is off the field, or not off the field. It's trying to be on the field. It's his availability. He is injured a lot. Now, I know the freak accident of breaking the jaw was a freak accident. But as a tenure, as a player in the NFL, he was injured. And he was injured again this year. And we've seen him get dinged up throughout this season, missing time and plays. So that is the problem for the Lions, Brad Holmes, in this regime. I'm sure they'd like to bring him back. But the problem is, due to his injuries, should the Lions bring him back? Is he a long-term solution there? Because if Jacksonville is going to give him a big contract, of course he's going to go to Jacksonville. If the Lions were to offer him a 1 or 2-year deal, prove-it deal, of course he's going to go to Jacksonville. Of course he's going to go whoever is going to offer him the big contract. That's what these free agents do. They want to play on the field, and they want to get the big money, as they should. But the Lions got to be smart. Yes, we have money this year, right? We got $65 million to cap. We're the 6th best cap in the NFL. Gravy and great. I love that. Got to think of it down the road, right? Aiden Hutchinson, right? Jameson Williams. They want to bring back Derrick Barnes, right? Levi Onwuzurike. And it is the players that we have continued to draft even throughout there. Eventually, everyone's going to have to get paid, the Brian Branches. And so if you pay Carlton Davis, there is a potential, if you're to give him the big money, that you're going to lose out on other players. And that's the problem here. So that's something that the Lions brass need to figure out. But if he's going to get big bucks from another team, he's probably going to go to the other team. Again, subscribe. That is the goal today, is getting to 84,800. I don't know if you could tell about the theme. Subscribe to the channel. Lastly, Bill Barnwell says that the Lions don't have anybody playing meaningful snaps who sticks out as likely cap casualty. One potential candidate is the 27-year-old hooker who has thrown 9 passes in 2 years. It seems telling that the Lions signed a quasi-retired Bridgewater at the end of the season and quickly pushed him ahead of Hooker on the depth chart, a move which ended the matter where Jared Goff briefly left the playoff loss to the Commanders. What he's saying is that the Detroit Lions will release Hendon Hooker. That is his thoughts. Let me get this straight. You're going to release a quarterback who costs basically nothing, who we're developing, because the reason is because we brought Teddy Bridgewater in. Now, look, I get it when you're bringing the Teddy Bridgewater in. There's no doubt about it, right? That's something that's you would wonder. But releasing Hendon Hooker makes zero sense in the world. He costs nothing. You remember, he's a late third round pick, and we're developing him. Yes, he's 27, but he's still a rookie, or not a rookie, but he's still in his rookie contract, right? So I don't see the Lions cutting bait with Hendon Hooker this year. Why would they do that? He's a cheap quarterback that you have right now on the roster. You keep him on the roster. You keep everything going from a development standpoint. I understand he hasn't played that many snaps. You can't blame that on him, though, because Jared Goff is generally not injured. Yes, Bridgewater came in, and that was for the playoffs. Okay, that was for the postseason. But I think they do like Hendon Hooker. I do. I don't think he gets released. And he could get traded. That's something that potentially could happen. But released doesn't really make a lot of sense. But you know what does make sense? Hitting that notification bell. Why is that? Because when you do it, you don't miss out. With that said, folks, adios.